Hey, everybody. Is it recording? Ah, that would have
It's
sucked.
recording.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Apostates. We're back after an extended break. The reason being there was some issues we had at the very last moment before the episode, right before Christmas was going to happen. We discovered some very unfortunate news for one of our dogs, and he's doing great, but it was just a very sudden and last minute discovery that we've since gotten some consultations and gone to some vets, and things are moving forward. So things are a lot less worrisome than they were that day. But I wasn't up to, because the discovery was made via phone call from the vet like an hour before the show, and I was just like, I'm not in a place where
that's not good.
Yeah.
No.
We're back after I don't know if there's background noise. We should probably mute that. But we are back after a bit of a break for Christmas, and I just want to say I am so happy that our first episode back is with with the speaker vote being as hilarious as it is.
If there was ever a political event that demanded background music and the funny and
pay-per-view. Wow.
And
why was this not on pay-per-view?
This would have been amazing.
It's hilarious. And I think, to me, the most hilarious aspect of this is that they've lost their opportunity to change the rules for a basic, first past the post vote for this, because Hakeem Jeffries has already gotten more votes on subsequent ballots than Kevin McCarthy has. So there's no way they can switch now to a simple first past the post voting for the majority leader. They've lost their shot, and they could have had it. But more hilarious to me is that first ballot, 19 Republicans didn't vote for Kevin McCarthy. Second ballot, everybody who didn't vote for Kevin McCarthy coalesced around Jim Jordan and moved away. I already forget the other guy's name.
It was Andy Biggs, I think, was the other guy, and then someone went with like Bryson Dawson. Don't trust a guy with two first names.
That's always trouble.
Third
There's
ballot,
a guy named Eric Ward.
Third ballot, he lost a vote. Now there are 20 Republicans who voted against him on the third ballot, all around Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan himself is saying, "Please vote for McCarthy."
Meanwhile,
voting for me.
meanwhile, George Clooney is working on what the aftertext for his documentary on Jim Jordan's going to say. So I'm looking forward to that shit.
And to Jim Jordan, I know that this is a common thing. I know it's cliche, but put on a goddamn jacket.
That man is not going to put on a jacket. He knows he as much as the sport of wrestling hates him,
he's a heel. Yeah.
The man's the heel. He's living up to his role.
If Zelensky has to hear word one about how he desecrated that chamber wearing his, street clothes or whatever they were calling it, then Jim Jordan can put on a goddamn jacket or go full business casual. But pick one.
Personally, I would just like to just have them go into a steel chair match and call it a day.
Yeah, can he come in wearing like a robe, like a full-on wrestling robe? Like one of the Ric Flair
double knockout. That would be the best.
I mean, personally, I'm like, I would watch Zelensky and Jim Jordan wrestle. I mean,
I'd totally watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be in.
Yeah. And that's when that's when Ren found out there's something wrong with us.
Oh God, I would hope Ren's known me a while. I would hope she knows that there's a lot wrong with me.
There's a lot wrong here.
Am I back on? Do you see me? Is that?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay.
We can see you.
You're talking about me like I'm not here. So, I think what I love so much about this is they barely won a majority. And you've got that guy from New York, I already forget his name. How not very professional of me, but I don't care if he's not a very serious person. But he is going to probably not last his full term at this point. And my bet is he will be out before the end of this as more criminal investigations ramp up in both Brazil and in New York. Campaign finance and fraud.
Fun times.
That stuff. I believe he will be replaced, by Governor Hochul. Of course, considering that she put up an extremely conservative candidate for one of New York's courts, we don't know who she plays with, but it would chip away a little bit at that very slim majority. So Kevin McCarthy is basically at a race to the bottom to become the least effective majority leader in generations. And say what you will about Nancy Pelosi. And I have a lot to say about her. Don't like her. Not a fan. But she's an effective vote whipper.
Oh, yeah. Like, this was a woman who basically was like, who managed to hold the Come to Jesus meeting, and the Come to Jesus meeting would stick. Her Come to Jesus meeting stuck. It wasn't a case of,
condescending. There is she even managed with condescension towards the squad and things like that, which whatever you feel about the squad, I don't feel it's great to be sniping if you're the majority leader, to be sniping at members of your majority.
Probably not.
I just don't like it. Look, if they violated any rules of decorum, I mean, they're freshmen. Like, and you were the speaker. Grow up. But it's not about her anymore. She's gone from the speakership, and now it's Kevin McCarthy's turn in the barrel. And it's going to be a very smelly, disgusting barrel going over a very hilariously large waterfall.
Yeah, basically it's going to be a ride over Niagara Falls, and it's not going to be like one of those fun old-timey rides. It's going to be, oh no, he's not going to make it. It's going to be ugly.
And even that guy from New York, God, why can't I remember the name? The serial liar from New York. I'm just going to call him,
You want to call him Bill?
Well, he has like 5 different names, I found out.
Is one of them Brian Williams?
No.
Thought it was
George
name.
It's George Santos.
Thank you, George Santos. So he's got that nitwit as one of the 3 votes above that 218. No matter, eventually McCarthy's going to become the majority leader. Eventually he is. But he is going to be the least effective in generations. And it is hilarious to watch this just sort of destruction of this party that not too long ago claimed a mandate because they won a majority in 2004 by the slimmest of slim amounts
51%.
by a president who lost the majority the first time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, there's so much karmic beauty in their failure to get the Senate, and now this. And
this is a shit show.
Yeah.
It's a shit show. It is the most. I mean, you can't get this is one fist fight away from being like Russian parliamentary grade shit show.
It's one fist fight away from being Congress 100 years ago.
That too.
Yeah. I was going to say, I heard a great story. I think I was listening to a conservative talk show host when they talked about Congress at the turn of the century. There was one of the issues they had was they try to do a roll call vote, and like senators or congressmen would just not declare that they were present. And so without so many congressmen there and listed as present, they couldn't conduct business. Well, and I really wish I could remember all the primary parties involved, but what the speaker enlists the the roll taker. Yeah, I can see them. They're here. Mark them as present. And this elicited darn near riots A senator from Texas was sharpening a Bowie knife. That was confirmed that he was going to charge it and attack. Yeah, like it was ugly. This makes it look
We
tame.
have reports from John Boehner that Representative Don Young threatened him with a knife at one point. This would have been sometime in the last 15 years.
Maybe we need to start thinking about letting white men control things. You guys are not emotionally stable. You don't have the ice in your veins for leadership positions, it's looking like.
I mean, look,
but we handle criticism so well.
Yeah, y'all out here just threatening each other with Bowie knives, beating each other, beating the shit out of each other in the well of the Senate.
And that's for fun. That's like on a typical Friday night on payday.
Yeah, I don't know if we should let y'all guys have the reins of power. I'm sorry. Y'all are too emotional, too unstable, too violent.
It does remind me of the story of
Ask my wife about how I handle Eagles games.
Now, this does remind me, we'll go back to football in a second, speaking of which, but this does remind me of the story of the ratification conventions after the signing of the Constitution. Philadelphia could not get a quorum. Now, okay, I am really condensing this and exaggerating a little. It's not quite what happened, but basically they couldn't get a quorum because members of the legislature were hiding, so they kidnapped a couple of them and brought them to the convention hall to get a quorum.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, several members shouldn't be as entertained by this as I am, but
several members of the legislature were basically dragged.
That's like me when I have to go do my job.
Yeah, I mean, listen. No one. I mean, everybody wants to be a legislator till it's time to be a legislator. Then when you actually have to go, then you have to actually go and legislate shit and whip votes. Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm sorry. I was understanding I would be able to do nothing.
Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, whipping votes from Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and Lauren Boebert. Honest to goodness, being the majority leader for this bunch of clowns is going to suck so bad. I don't know why he even wants the job.
Facts!
Aside from
you think you'd have to draft him? Like, who would enlist for this?
No one wants that job because already Marjorie's MTG out here mad as hell. They're like, she's like, no one gave me a committee assignment. I'm like, okay.
Take your win.
That means you get to do nothing.
Right? Come on now. These people, they need to talk to me about this. Like, what have I always told you, Ren? My goal in life to make as much money as Sam Bradford by doing less. That's my goal in life.
Like, this is, like, someone tell her the joy of getting paid to do nothing.
Like, watch that. That's their whole years. Like, it'll be great. You'll love it.
Yeah,
well, I guess that's Marco Rubio's job. Come to think of it.
Yeah, no, Marco Rubio has mastered the art of having a job and doing nothing. Lord knows that man don't do shit.
He might be my new hero.
Don't.
Well, just for that, not for his actual views, just for his.
Don't.
Now, just to move things along, we're going to take a little detour from politics, although it's tangentially political. And talk about Damar Hamlin. And I want to turn it over to Dallas to start this discussion. And
all right,
Eric and Dallas are going to spend most of the time talking because I know a little bit about football, not really enough. So Dallas.
All right. So in NFL corporate ass speak, there is the principle called protect the shield, which is the nice fancy way of protect the NFL's reputation at all costs. Right now, I'm kind of hoping players look at each other and go, you know what? Fuck the shield. Honestly, fuck the shield. Because the NFL's just trying, I know this sounds kind of conspiratorial, but maybe not. I feel, honestly, this whole thing has been a shit show.
Yeah.
From the Waffle House has a plan for a nuclear disaster.
Have you seen those employees? Those people are tough.
They are They are a $1 billion company, just $1 billion company. And they have a plan for nuclear disaster. The NFL, made up of about 32 teams, worth about 1 to 4 to 5 billion each, does not have a plan for one motherfucker getting hit in between heartbeats and collapsing on the field like a bunch of dirty laundry. They're standing. It took the players to do what needed to be done. First on the field, they made sure to give the paramedic space to work. Then the NFL, then initially they're like, all right, everybody, take 5 and then we'll come back. Come back, darling. After somebody had to be resuscitated. That's why you do CPR, to resuscitate people. After that,
resuscitate him for a pulled hamstring here,
yeah, you don't resuscitate people for pulled hamstrings. You just bring out Kevin and Shelly from athletic training and drag them off. That's it.
Right.
But they out here, they had to resuscitate him and call in an ambulance, not parked at the edge of the field to carry him. No cart, no bitch. The ambulance pulled right up to the 50-yard line and put him in there. And you want to take 5 after that? Bitch, if I'm a cheerleader, I'm throwing the pom-poms in the bag and I'm like, nah, I'll wait for the plane. I can't do this right now.
All your friends and coworkers watch
you. This isn't an Amazon warehouse floor.
Yeah.
You should not be no, none of this take 5 shit.
And
this is not an Amazon or a call center floor.
That shouldn't be allowed anywhere. The idea of, if you see somebody, you are worried about a man's life, not about his career, not about his ability to
it's not even about that anymore.
It's about his life. You were watching a man fight for his life.
And then you gonna take 5 that shit?
5.
Bitch, what the?
Yeah, you can take 5 right here.
Take 5. What? How you gonna take 5? This is not like I said. That's not this is not an Amazon warehouse floor where that happens a lot. This is not a call center floor where that can happen. This is the NFL. These men are being paid north of 6 figures. And this is what you do, which tells me they don't really see these dudes as more than just numbers on a balance sheet.
Which anybody who's watched we all know that's how.
Yeah, we've been new. Been new.
There are fucking actuarial tables about this shit.
Oh, of course.
The idea that they don't have a plan, they choose not to have a plan.
That's basically what it comes down to. The NFL chooses not to plan for emergencies. So that means that scene in The Dark Knight Rises, that would have been much more chaos in real life. They gave
that was not
Nolan once again gives people too much goddamn credit.
Yeah.
I had to do that. I had to circle that in.
The mistake was that those movies actually had hope in them. As bleak as they were, there was actually hope in those movies.
Yeah, even Contagion had a hope spot. But now the NFL is trying to say, "Oh no, we never contemplated bringing people back on the field," and we all.
You never could. I let him go.
I'm like, bitch, what did you think you were broadcasting this into a black hole? Do you think you were broadcasting this into Russia?
Did you think we'd all just forget? That we were told, oh, they're going to take 5.
Eyes. I don't care how much the crew of Good Morning Football gives us moon face and sits facing us rather than facing the desk. I caught that. That was cute. That was cute. I thought that was cute. It was obvious and a lame ass play for sympathy, but it was cute. I like it. But, I'm sorry. The fact that it took the coaches conferring with the players, and I mean not just conferring individually, but conferring collectively. Somewhere I know our socialist listeners are like, yeah, but But it took the players conferring collectively, because at one point earlier in the discussion, Joe Burrow went to the Bills locker room to talk things over.
Right.
So that by the time Roger Goodell's dumbass called, they're like, nah, we're not coming back.
What is there to talk over?
Basically, are y'all okay? Does anyone need a ride to the hospital?
Yeah. I mean,
will you be needing an extra? Should we call the hotel? So some of y'all might need an extra night at the hotel. How do you want to do this? Are you feeling it? No. Okay, then let's make arrangements and tell Goodell to go fuck himself.
Yeah. I mean, look, and
not
the fact
to
that
make I'm not trying to make this about myself when I bring this up, but I do want to bring I don't want to make this about myself by telling a story about something that happened to me, but I do it to just illustrate what the players may be going through. When I was a teenager, I witnessed a man kill himself. I was 30 feet from it. It was quick, but it was that's a really horrible thing I saw and witnessed to a complete stranger. And the thing was, it didn't register as violent at the time. It was just very sudden, and I didn't understand what happened until after it. But it was something that happened that I saw, that I was in close proximity to, complete stranger, and that fucked me up for a day.
Sure.
These people know this man. They work with him. They love him. They are his friends. And they watched him very well. Possibly he still might die. How do you tell them
right now
they got to get back to work in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't even matter whether whether somebody's actually capable of getting back on that field and playing. Don't let them. For their own sake, don't even let them play.
Yeah.
You should be the first people, you running the team, you should be the first people to say, we're done. You people need some time. You need people to talk to. We have no compassion for football players because everybody's got this impression that they're overpaid athletes. They make a lot of money. Do you know who makes even more? The owners.
The owners.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You brought up a total stranger you saw and how much that messed you up.
That fucked me up for an entire day.
Sure. And look, I heard you now. You were a teenager when you saw this. I heard you now, become emotional talking. And this is now a complete stranger.
Nearly, 10, 25 years later?
Right. Like,
something like that.
And now we're saying, and look, I don't know, like I played football when I was younger. I played organized sports. And look, one of the first football games that I got to play in, we played a team who we look over and we see they're not wearing their normal jerseys. They're all just wearing regular football jerseys from their favorite NFL teams. And we say, what happened? And one of their players, one of their teammates, playing got tackled, went down funny, and died. And they had worn their jerseys to his funeral, and I didn't know any of these kids. Like I was new to the area, I didn't know any of them, but you could see the emotion on their faces, and that they would rather be anywhere than right there. And this was, a few days later that we had this game. Like they had already had the funeral for the child, and now I ask everybody to then think about it, like, and the bond you create when you go to like training camps and minicamp, like those bonds like that you develop. If you're a star, the bond you develop with the very bottom guy on the roster, there is no real separation. It's a brotherhood. And they all agree that, the one thing we want, no matter what, is at the end of this, we're all competing. We're all competing against each other. Some of us are competing for jobs with each other. Some of us are competing, in a game against each other. We all want to go home at the end of this to our family.
Every time, because
I was a student athletic trainer, and I remember there were times where where somebody that I see every day in the locker every day gets hurt. Even if I know they're fine and I'm gonna see them Monday, that does throw you for a little bit.
Sure.
And even when I myself got injured, one of my senior year, I had to run a junior varsity. I had to help run a junior varsity game. I was looking in the other direction, running back, ran the route, hit me. I see sky, I see ground, and I'm not out, but I'm hurt.
You can tell you just weren't right. Yeah.
And I just was like, I just got hit. Fuck. It hurts, man.
Yeah.
That is not fun. And this was a junior varsity player. This was a 6 foot, 175-pound sophomore.
Yeah.
What if I got plowed by a senior? And I don't mean plowed in the fun. Like I don't mean plowed in the fun way, but get plowed in the hurty. Yeah, like I mean, there are parts of me that still hurt that I know go back to this.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that people checked in, I mean, was not the most well-liked person, but people checked in. They're like, no, you're family. There's no way we can at least,
Yeah.
So for the league to say to those players, oh, hey, yeah, give you 5. I'm like, does anyone not see the 1,000-yard stare of Josh Allen?
You're going to ask that dude in 5 minutes, hey, go play some football.
Josh Allen clocked the fuck out. I know what clocked out looks like. That man clocked out. He was gone.
Look, 6 o'clock every morning, you can look on my face. I've clocked out, and I'm supposed to be there for another 8 hours. But that dude
you can't ask a person who may have permanently disabled, seriously injured, or even killed somebody by accident to just go back to work 5 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean,
receiver for the Bengals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
T. Higgins did not look okay. T. Higgins also
okay.
T. Higgins, I know
his
that
life
man is
forever changed now.
Yeah, he's always going to be
at all.
Like, it definitely isn't. It was a regular old hit.
Right. It didn't seem special. Like when I saw a play,
I was like,
show a replay, and I looked at the guy falling on it, and I really thought to myself, like, was he trying to draw like a personal foul or something? Like that was like, and then
it was the standing up and taking 2 steps, and I realized, oh fuck, something really has gone wrong.
Before he went down, I looked at him like, that he doesn't seem right. But then, he goes down, and he just collapsed.
The man went down like a rag doll. Yeah. Lights out, party's over. And and I've heard of this.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen it.
Right.
And that was like, oh no, that man has either just clocked out permanently, or he's gonna be clocked out for a while. And
that's the trouble, because when it took, I believe it was 9 minutes of CPR.
Right.
Exactly. That brain anoxia ain't nobody's friend but time.
He may, if he survives, have permanent brain damage. He may not. He may well be fine. We don't really know. So
exactly.
And we can all we can do is pray that he is. But.
Yeah.
If the worst happens, it really puts into perspective, again, something that kind of keeps going in and out of the news, but never should stop, how horrible this sport is, because the owners can get away with letting it be this horrible.
Exactly. It's the idea that we look at, everyone thinks that Daniel Snyder's an outlier. I'm saying this maybe because I'm watching the dumpster fire that is Miami, but I don't think Daniel Snyder's an outlier. I honestly
don't think so either. I think he's more.
And the fact that the NFL is powerful enough to have the House hearings of that there was A, a House hearing, and B, they were powerful enough to keep that on the DL.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bruh.
Because of their cheerleaders too. It isn't even just the money behind it, but it's people who are perfectly willing to always forgive this by saying, well, it's a contact sport. These people are well compensated, et cetera, et cetera. They're compensated like this because they are destroying their bodies by the time they're in their 30s.
Their bodies and their minds.
So do dock workers.
Maybe you should fucking pay dock workers more too.
That too, yes. If you're going to pay...
Yeah, that's another argument, yeah.
Oh, no, but it's like, for the guys who were great in height, that's why I understand why they're finally letting football players get paid in the NCAA, because what if you blow out your knee in a bowl game your senior year?
Well, nowadays, if you're playing in a bowl game your senior year, you're probably not that big a deal, but because now they all act out.
But yeah, I really feel like I know it's not going to happen because, it's the NFL. They are stupid, crazy, powerful. But
yeah, look, they took a day away from the church. Like,
yes.
Sunday used to belong to the church. Now it's the NFL.
If only there were a thing we could do when something gets too powerful, like a
I guess you could.
Like a what?
Do, like perhaps break it up.
Breaking up the NFL, that would probably help to a degree.
That's just me, the dirty, dirty socialist.
Breaking up the NFL would not be the worst thing. I guess that's why now people are waiting to see how the XFL are going to go. The fact that the reborn USFL is in its second season. We'll see what the fact that people are, that there's still American football, but in various different forms. And sometimes, here's something though that I do worry, that I think this is just going to be my weird Black conspiratorial thinking.
Sure.
But every so often when I hear Black people talk about, they think, oh, if we were to leave the game wouldn't function, this, that, and the other, because, when you go back to Colin Kaepernick, and the reason I think Black people are, which basically, let's be honest, it's kind of a, God help me for saying it, it's an updated gilded plantation. It's an updated gilded plantation. And if
the metaphors about the draft are not lost on anybody.
They are not. I have watched the combine and I'm like,
I'm a combine junkie. I love it. But
it's like I know what I'm looking at. I'm like, oh my God. Did they just make him stand on a box? And oh, heavens above.
Yeah, they took his measurements. I'm
like, no wonder they don't let any Southerners do this, because if they did, it would just be a little too uncomfortable. Well,
or
this
might be too comfortable doing.
Yeah, it's like, this is Dontrell Smith. This is Dontrell Smith of Ball State University. He stands about 6'5", about 375 pounds. He can tackle anything he puts his mind to. That would be very terrifying and a little too evocative, but this is what it is. And the thing is, the NFL is looking to expand.
Sure.
They have interests in Europe. They have interests in Israel. They haven't broken into Africa, but Nigeria. But they're because
and not only that, but I mean, you have the XFL. It crashed and burned the first time, and
because Vince McMahon wanted to run it like WWE, but
the less said
and
about
fuck Vince McMahon.
Yeah, but
he might be into that. Sorry.
The other league in the '80s. What was the league in the '80s?
USFL,
they have the USFL,
which is now back.
It can't be that hard to do it. It's just that Trump made it look hard.
You mean Trump took something easy and overcomplicated it? I can't imagine.
I mean, he failed at what should have been the simplest thing. How go figure.
Hey, everybody loves football. Give them football. I know.
Give them more football.
I have hope, though. I do have hope in that a lot of the conversation, now I realize online is not real life, but a lot of the conversation I do see online is very sympathetic to the players, with some exceptions. Skip Bayless, you piece of shit.
Oh my God, Skip. I kind of wanted Shannon to come. I wanted Shannon to come into work. I really did. I was like, I need Shannon to come into work and be Skip.
Finally, somebody else sees what I've seen in Skip Bayless this whole time.
Well,
he is a walking pile of.
I never really liked Skip Bayless. I've never really liked Skip Bayless. I've always thought he was kind of just always thought he was just kind of a kiss ass, like basic bitch kind of sportscaster.
Yeah.
He's a basic bitch, and no one wants to say that to that man's face. I think Shannon's come close.
I will call him a basic bitch.
I think Shannon Sharp's come close a couple of times, but I need Unc to finally just say, Skill, you a basic bitch. Just let him know.
Dude, if that ever happens, we have to, you do that. You have to send that to me, please.
I would pay money.
If he does that, it'll be my favorite thing that Shannon Sharp has ever done. Second only to the time he played an alien hunter for the CIA on American Dad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like
he literally played himself
about
as an alien
guy for the.
Did his character smoke a cigar?
No, but he had machetes, and he was Shannon Sharp sharpening machetes while he eats some spaghetti. It was something fucking stupid, but it was him. It's awesome, and I love it. And that was actually that was like American Dad's been on a long time. That was a very long time ago. But
Skip Bayless showed his and the amount of anti-vax jerkwads that had to open their goddamn mouth and be idiotic in public. Listen, maybe shutting up is the medicine that's right.
Goddamn mouth.
I swear to God, I will find the biggest block of Sargento cheese, lube that ish up, and shove it where the sun don't shine, and make a meat puppet out of this man.
I'm really glad that Aaron Rodgers hasn't said a goddamn thing. Maybe he's too smart to
he's just smart enough to know when he's just smart enough not to not talk. That's the one good thing about him.
He's just busy drinking his scotch and watching game tape.
Right-wing commentators like Charlie Kirk and all them, and I'm positive Candace Owens is going to do this because she did this about Bob Saget too. Is going to come out and blame the vaccine for, what happened to Mr. Hamlin. And
maybe it was.
I'm going to need her and her dry ass edges to not. I'm going to need Candace Owens and her dry ass edges and beard ass husband to not. I said what I said.
It's the whole Daily Wire shtick, and Charlie Kirk is Turning Points USA, but it's become this thing where, the anti-vax movement used to be very firmly a left-wing fringe woo kind of movement with a couple of fringe libertarian right-wingers on the side. But now it's been very firmly become a very right-wing thing, and they're using this tragedy to their advantage, as they do with a lot of recent celebrity deaths. I mean, you even had people saying it about Betty White when she died, that her stroke was probably because of the jab. Like, 99-year-old woman, what did you think she died of? I don't know. She probably had a concussion when she fell at her fucking sex swing. What do you fucking think she died of?
I mean, she might have. I mean, it's Betty White.
Good for her, man. That's the way I want to go out. I want to go out like Betty White. Old girl
might have still been trying to get it in. I mean, seriously, she's adorable.
Thankfully, I hope that the amount of support, is indicative of some changing views about, basic empathy towards employees. Thankfully,
let's talk about empathy towards employees. I can tell you some stories in my company.
Well, I can guarantee you that if they could get away with calling them contractors, they would. But thankfully they have to call them employees. But
yeah,
I mean,
they cringe when doing it.
You said it yourself, Dallas. It reeks of Amazon forcing their workers back to work as the corpse of their coworker was still in the building, feet from them.
They just put a little box forward over it. Let's just put a little box forward over it. I'm like,
well, they got all the boxes there. They could, I'm sure they got a human.
Yeah, they built a little box for it, and I'm just like, box for it.
Well, I mean, think about it. The WWE once upon a time, I believe it was 1999. Owen Hart in Kansas City.
Owen Hart, yeah. Owen Hart. That
hurt.
Vince McMahon ain't never seen heaven.
Oh no.
Vince McMahon ain't never seen the pearly gates. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Owen Hart's death was that was a shock to the system. I mean, that was plenty of wrestlers have died young. Plenty of wrestlers have died young, but
sure.
Yeah, but that was wrong.
Show, while they were,
it was at a. This was at a show.
I was watching the show live when it happened.
On a stunt that they did not check properly, they did not run through. That wasn't run by anyone qualified.
That didn't that was just a little cheaper than the previous guys they had.
Bullshit.
But anyway, my point to bring that up wasn't about how Vince McMahon is such a it is about Vince McMahon being a turd, but they kept the show going. They just said, okay, Jim Ross got while they were at a break, Jim Ross says to his production guys, "Hey, do we have anything I can give on Owen?" And he goes, Owen died. All right, you're on in 5, 4. That was his 5. Of finding out that Owen Hart had died. And then he had to go on there and deliver that news to the public, me, and tell all of us that Owen Hart had died. And I'm sitting there like, oh yeah, now it's time for the main event. Are you fucking kidding me? Man died
Vince McMahon ain't never seen a pearly gates. I'm going to tell you that right now.
While all those other wrestlers went and contaminated that crime scene.
That man ain't that.
I mean, that is a fair point. There was definitely criminal negligence.
It was the fact that I don't think did Hart's widow get a damn thing from the WWE? Did she?
Yeah, she sued them and she was successful in the
okay.
Suit. Yeah.
Oh God! All the stories you hear so much about how Vince McMahon takes care of the families because he knows he don't do.
Yeah, it's only because he knows that the moment he don't take care of any of these people, they will come down on him like the wrath of God that he most assuredly deserves.
And look, Martha, his wife, wonderful. If you great follow on Twitter, I've seen some of the stuff that she's done and documented. The Owen Hart Foundation. I would urge anybody if they a good foundation to go to. That would be a good one. It was that was so sobering to me. Vince McMahon and Roger Goodell. That if you show me 2 pictures and say what's the difference, they're the same picture.
Same thing. It's just that Roger Goodell is Roger Goodell does his bullshit quietly, and he's gonna just dazzle you with lawyer speak, and it's more to me. It's more like
we never planned to play bullshit.
Dude. It's the fact that to me the gaslighting was just so insulting because y'all pride yourself on having Monday Night Football be one of the most viewed sports shows on the planet.
Right. And then my wife's sitting there with me. She's like, well, what are they doing this day? I looked at her, I don't know.
Oh. And the fact that they, and I know the reason they went to 5 different commercial breaks is to make sure they honored all their contractual requirements
and
for commercials.
There was probably also a discussion, guys, what are we going to do?
It's the fact that they had nothing planned,
right?
No discussion, I'm like, I go over to NFL Network, and that was even sadder. They just were running like rando bullshit, and I'm just like,
right.
the one place you would think you would think have some news on it, the NFL Network just bullshitted the whole damn time. ESPN came through, like Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Clark are MVP. That was goated work. They came through. They did not hold back. They said what needed to be said.
And look, and I watched NFL Live today. I watch it almost every day. And I particularly wanted to watch to see how they reacted today. Look, I feel like they were respectful. And like anybody would, and this was, so many hours later, and Dan Orlovsky had a nice prayer at the end of the show, and it was almost surreal. It's going to get me kind of emotional now thinking about it. Here are these grown men, these gladiators that they're taught at such a young age. It's so important to be physically and mentally tough. And it's like, okay, well, what is that? Well, I don't know how anybody could be mentally tough enough to watch one of their brothers fighting for their life and then told, okay, you've got to go do your job now. And unless that job is securing that man's safety, what else is there? Like, what do you really got to do? What is going to be? I got to go take this freaking weird ass round ball that is not really a ball, and I got to go try to get it over there, and I got to go get around these other guys that are. Man, I'll tell you where you can stick that ball.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Really and I forget her name, but the line reporter,
Susie Salter.
Susie Salter.
Because I know that people
Susie tried.
But how hard a position is that to be in?
Let's go down to Susie. Oh, fuck you want from me?
I was waiting for her to be like, what you want?
I got nothing. I'm fighting too. Shit.
It's very clear that she wasn't as aware of the gravity of the situation as the people watching from above. And it's also very clear that as soon as she figured it out, things changed very quickly.
Yeah.
And so, this is also someone who has a professional relationship with these players and probably knows him, maybe not well, but he's a work friend,
Sure. Look, and again, I'll dig to some of my personal. I interned at a local sports radio station, and I got to talk to some of the guys there. And one of the guys, Bob Cooney, he works at 97.5 The Fanatic, and he was a beat writer for the Sixers, and he was there during some of Markelle Fultz. I'm sure he's with the Orlando Magic now.
All right.
And he had a lot of mental issues about playing in Philadelphia and being a soft ass little. Anyway, I don't want to get into my personal feelings about him. But at one point, Bob Cooney talks to him. He's like, "Dude, you get to play basketball for a living. There are other people really struggling out there, and and that's one of those things where it's these people who get it. You can tell." Those players, when they're on that field and they see their brother go down, they get it. This is the real struggle here, man. We all I started earlier saying, man, at the end of this, we all want to be able to go home to our families. You want to try to stop me from getting in the end zone, dude. That's what we all signed up for.
Yeah.
You want to make sure your guy gets in the end zone. That's something we signed up for.
And then the worst,
to be able to go home at the end of this.
And the worst part is that his mother, this all happened in front of the man's mother. Families do not go to every single game.
Right. And I didn't know if his parents were there. And that was one of the first things I thought of. Could you imagine, and my wife kept saying, why won't they give some kind of update? I'm they can't give an update right now. I said, they've got to make sure his family knows before they give us any kind of update.
This man's mother was in the family section. I mean, one good follow that's given kind of a wonderful I don't want to say a really solid bird's eye view has to be Eli Apple's mom. Eli
She's a
Apple.
great follow on Twitter too.
She's an amazing follow on Twitter. If you don't follow Annie Apple, I recommend it.
I loved her take on Eli during the draft, but
yeah, she gives no fucks, and that's what I love about her. And she's like, I couldn't, and she was not okay because I mean, for her, I think her son was playing that night.
Yeah,
so she's watching.
Yeah, he's on the Bengals. Yeah,
so she's watching it. She probably has. She never. I don't think she said whether she knew what's his knew the young man from the Bills. I know she knows T. Higgins.
Sure.
But still, it's the whole thing was just a clusterfuck. And I will say that I'm going to quote one tweet. God help me.
Mm-hmm.
Simone Sanders. All the calm hardcores were like, how can let me see. Simone Sanders, she tweeted, and I don't want to be, but she wasn't wrong. Okay. Let me see if I can find it.
Can I just
bring that up?
Here it is. I found it. I am not she tweeted this 23 hours ago. I am not a sports expert, but I know comms. By 9:15 p.m., the NFL should have had the commissioner, legal, comms, Players Association, and ESPN and ABC on the phone, and they should have gamed scenarios, which they should have done from the beginning of the season any motherfucking way.
Right.
I'm sorry.
You play a physical, violent game. That's what I hear all the time. This is a violent game.
Bro,
you don't think something like this can happen?
It's not even just that it can happen. It's just that they use that as a way to say that the people should be desensitized to this sort of thing. They
use it to sell the damn product.
Someone will break their ankle. Someone will break their leg. Someone will get a sprain. Someone will get a fracture, maybe even a concussion. But they definitely don't have to bring the ambulance to where their position is on the field and do CPR in 9 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
But I'm like, do you not like let's put it like this. The last time somebody has died on an NFL field, but that was in 1972. Right. I would have thought since 1972, and that was the days of Pete Rozelle.
Yeah.
Pete motherfucking Rozelle. I would have thought from then through Tagliabue, through this motherfucker, we would have had this figured out by now.
They chose not to. It's what we discussed.
Yeah, they definitely could.
Because they have actuarial tables. They have insurance companies who set and risk analysis that says this is how much we'd have to pay out if a player has a heart attack and dies in the field. But what they don't have is any desire
to do this.
For that actually happening and take the game off air, because they always wanted the game to continue if something like that happened.
Yeah, that's true. In the back of my head, I'm wondering if this had been Tampa Bay and that had been Tom Brady, would the NFL have dragged its feet?
No.
His stock is falling.
Yes, I know. Giselle is playing in them seasoning. She's putting her hexes on him, and but it still is
with the whole. She meant to hit Tom and got poor.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's horrible and hilarious. But yeah, I mean, if this
to deflect, yeah.
But if this had been Tom Brady, would the NFL have waited for the players to break the decision paralysis and say, no, we're not going back on that. We're not going back on the damn field.
And the thing is, it's like, now, I mean, they do have to ask, and it's got to be somebody's job. I know it's not the most important thing, and I'm not in no way arguing that it is. Somebody is going to have to ask at some point, well, what does this mean for the rest of the season? Or, I mean,
right.
Their plan is to push forward and play the next games this week. Well, I mean, that game, there was a reason why it was on Monday Night Football. It was kind of a big deal. And again, please don't misunderstand me. I'm not even suggesting it is remotely important. but it's something somebody somewhere does have to decide. How do we count this? Because like the winner of that game was gonna have an inside track to getting home field advantage. Like you can't award a victory to Cincinnati even though they were ahead at the time. You can't award a tie because they weren't tied.
No.
The players
So what
should
do you?
strike the entire league. I think the entire league should strike.
What I'm worried about is this is what I think is going to happen, because they've been talking about adding a week 19 for God motherfucking knows how long. I'm
all in
scared.
favor of more football, but I mean that's
week 19. Human body can't take all that. That's 19 weeks of that bullshit.
I've been saying we should have a second bye, but.
And yeah, that would merit a second bye if you're smart. But
yeah,
have they ever really been found guilty of truly being smart at this point?
No.
Exactly.
Look, the people who invented the game were smart in their invention of the game. And I feel like we have seen, since the advent of the forward pass, everything else has gone downhill. Like I feel like that was the game's apex, was the forward pass being invented. Everything else has been downhill.
Yeah, and I'm just saying yeah. And I do love the game, and just for me, it's the idea that they keep making these fucked up decisions that are just in the end going to hurt them.
Yeah.
Like what they'll probably do is, even though they are going to sidle it in as a week 19, get rid of the bye between the last playoff game and the Super Bowl.
Which I'd be okay with that.
To a degree. If I make the Super Bowl and that extra week, that extra bye, I'm going to be honest, has probably saved more teams than we all care to admit.
It's the reason why Terrell Owens was able to play in the Super Bowl in 2004, 2005 season. It's helped so many teams. Hell, one of the only years they didn't have it was 9/11 when they really needed it.
And that resulted in the Patriots winning, and honestly, I do not like the Patriots, nor do I like Bill Belichick.
So maybe I'm not in favor of getting rid of that bye, because that just resulted in the Patriots winning and starting their dynasties, and I don't like that. So yeah, we got to keep the bye.
So I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to have to either maybe they might have to have a Monday night doubleheader.
See, that was something. Well, the problem you run into is like both those teams have games scheduled this coming Sunday, or we get Saturday and Sunday. Well, they're both going to be Sunday, but
I think ultimately all this boils down to the fact that the issue of football players' health and safety is a labor rights issue.
And absolutely,
it is.
It's one of these things you say.
Their
stuff
labor
like
is just like anybody else.
Yeah, listen, NFL players are workers, cops are not. I said what I said. NFL players are workers. Cops are not.
One of those jobs is very useful to society as a whole and is extremely dangerous. The others being a cop.
Exactly.
I just said, oh God, the last interaction I had with a cop was this New Jersey cop who she pulled me over. Now I have a dash cam and everything. She pulled me over. Mea culpa. I was speeding. She got me on that. That's not where she lied. She lied when she gave me a ticket and said that when I saw her, I, quote, bolted over into the next lane and then had to slam on my brakes to avoid hitting the car in front of me, which neither of which happened. That's what the cops do. They fucking lie. They are
that
the
poor son bitch.
Well, I did that before, and I didn't get cited for that.
That poor son bitch. They are the Roger
Goodell of professions.
Huh?
It passed. It's past its time. Forget it.
But that poor son bitch. That's fucked up.
Before we finish the show, I want to end on just a very quick thing, because I just, our prayers to Damar Hamlin. We really want to see him come out of this. Yeah. And in order to not end the show on a bad note, I want to just change subjects so we can just discuss some. We don't have to be so somber at the end of it, but I do want to say that at least we are pulling for you.
Absolutely.
So, absolutely. We're talking about the anti-vax movement and right-wing media and Turning Points and Daily Wire. So I want to just say one thing. Chaya Raichik she had an interview with Tucker Carlson.
We finally got to see what she looked like.
And
she take the mask off? Huh?
Here's the thing.
Man Herbie?
She likes to pretend that she never doxed anyone and she just takes videos that are already on YouTube. No,
out of context and full of bullshit.
And finds their employers and encourages people to get them fired, and things like that. She's absolutely doxing people. But the real thing is, during the interview, she said, that the LGBTQ group culture as a whole are groomers, are evil, and have to recruit children, and that's what she'll maybe try to defend herself by saying she was only talking about the people who actively blah, 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 blah. But she started this off by saying the LGBTQ culture. And she never narrowed that throughout the whole conversation. And got no pushback from Tucker Carlson, the most watched host on Fox News. So what I want to say before we leave the show is this is the GOP. This is what the Republican Party has become. All queer people, to them, are groomers and predators, and they don't believe that a human being can naturally be gay, bi, lesbian, transgender, or any combination thereof. And that is a cancer in the Republican Party. And it's inherent that you basically have to believe that. There's no room. They will try to bring out George Santos as an example. Look at They touted him as an openly gay Republican, but I notice that even people like even some Republicans have come out and denounced him.
I'm guessing it's just me
right now. Liar. But the thing is, they never denounced Trump as a serial liar.
I'm not sure where she was supposed to go with that, but I will say this about Chaya. I'm going to be nice, but no, I actually am going to be nice.
Okay.
I'm going to say that this is a woman who grew up in an Orthodox house. She's descended from Holocaust survivors, which always makes me say that she knows better. She 100% knows better. She knows what she's doing. She knows better. For her to punch down while knowing that among her allies are people who would, if she did not spew the same filth they did, but among our allies are people that at the opportune time will destroy her. I have to feel the deepest amount of pity for her and wonder, from one minority to another, what broke? What broke or was born broken that you must crawl through the muck of white nationalism, Christian nationalism? You must crawl through that muck for that sliver of validation. What broke?
You will never get a satisfactory answer.
Of course not, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Her father was a prison rabbi. She has seen marginalized people.
Yeah.
And she is more than happy to visit that same pain on them. What broke, Chaya? What broke, honey?
My pity doesn't extend to that. Maybe it would extend to teenage Chaya. Maybe it would extend to young adult Chaya, but full-grown Chaya doesn't. Especially
for me, it's not as For me, it's not as much pity, but I need to hold this mirror up to you and have you see yourself. Maybe it's because that's what happened to me.
Not fruitful.
Huh?
I just don't think it's going to be fruitful. The thing is, I mean, you, me, Eric, we always were the people we are now.
Right.
We may have belonged to a party that has become, or maybe always was, so toxic.
Yeah, maybe they just used to hide it better.
I'm thinking,
were we cruel?
Yeah, definitely hid it better.
Were we cruel though? No.
I tried not to be. I mean, I think his humor can be, but like,
I believe that there were some things about me that I might have believed because of religious dogma, and what I thought I knew, that may have surfaced out as cruel. But I think for me, it was the fact that life held a mirror up and showed me who I really was. And I realized, do I love myself? Do I love that person in the mirror? So, it started off with kind of me asking, do I love myself? Do I love the people that look like me, act like me, worship like me, love like me? Do I love those people? Well, I damn well should, especially if I love myself. And that's kind of, I guess, in my case.
Look, and I'll say,
I think.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Look, I'll say that, like, it's funny you talked about what brought you away from the Republican Party. For me, it's probably the same person that brought me to it, and that's my dad. And, I talked about how he voted for 2 Democrats in his entire adult life. And the second one was Barack Obama. And he's one, like, when we talked about things, like, my dad and I, we could talk about anything, and it was one of those great relationships. And we talked about like homosexuality, and we talked about the LGBTQ culture, I guess they'd call it. But he said, like, think about it. It can't be a choice, because who the hell would choose that kind of life? Like, how difficult it is, and like what you'd have to go through. If it's a choice, who the hell would choose that? Like, what kind of moron would? Like, with how dangerous it is, and like, and when Dad said it, he always, like, I'll have my Forrest Gump moment. He always had a way of explaining things so I understood them, and that really resonated with me when he said that. And like, it's one of those things I tell people all the time, like, I don't think it's any more of a choice than, like, I like short brunettes. Like, it's no more a choice. Like,
Jon Stewart had a wonderful joke, or wonderful set, and I'm not going to bastardize it here, but it basically boils down to, if you're driving home from night, you drive past a pumpkin patch, and you get a tingling in your pants. And then the next night, you drive past a pumpkin patch, and then you feel that same tingling. I got bad news. One day, you're fucking a pumpkin. And I guess to close off, what I'll say, I think everybody's capable of change, but I also think the inherent empathy was always in every one of us. And I don't really see it in Chaya. And I would say, especially like you said, with her background, Dallas, she refers to LGBTQ people as a cult, which is especially confounding coming from a fundamentalist. And I say
Orthodox Jew. She's not just Orthodox Jew. She's a Chabad Jew, which I'm like, but baby girl.
In any form, whether it is Jewish fundamentalism, Christian fundamentalism, Muslim fundamentalism, is very cult-like.
Very.
To project
that.
Say,
look, point at the sun. Hey, we hate the sun. Yeah, screw the sun.
So
Adam
that's
Sandler
basically now that we're on the back end of that, we will close it for tonight. Next week, Eric will not be on. Eric is going down to once a month. It'll be what is it, the first Tuesday of every month?
First Tuesday of every month. You guys get my wonderful face here. And then the rest of the month, everybody needs.
I better wash my dolphin sweatshirt then, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna have to have our hoodie standoff here during the cold months.
We're going to have a permanent regular third on a regular basis, but Eric will be here the first Tuesday, and on those occasions he'll be the fourth, or rather the rotating, whatever you want to call it. We'll figure it out. Working to have a new third person on next week, and as always, it's been a pleasure. But I am getting some late breaking news on my phone, and it looks like breaking news: Henry Kissinger is somehow still alive.
What the fuck?
Oh, wait a minute. I can't end it yet. He's got a book coming out. He's got a goddamn book. He's turning 100 this year. I'm sorry. I've got to break the bit.
He really does remember the Alamo. Don't give him too much of a hard time.
I know the joke is every single episode ends with Henry Kissinger still not dead, and I'm going to continue that. But I Googled it so I could just make sure he didn't actually die today, so it could be accurate. Because he's fucking 100 at this point, so you never know. And I just see, he's got a new book out about leadership. How? Why? Go the fuck away, dude. You're 100 years old.
I just need Jimmy Carter.
We're gonna be so happy that you're dead.
I just need Jimmy Carter to outlive Kissinger. All I need, if Jimmy Carter can outlive Kissinger, it's fair. Even if it's by a week.
If I think ultimately,
I will say though, if Kissinger dies on an off week where I'm not on, I'm coming on that week.
I ultimately think it's just because Satan doesn't want to have a goddamn thing to do with Henry Kissinger.
He doesn't want the power struggle. He does not want the power struggle. He's not here for that.
No, he's going to bomb he's going to bomb over the river Styx, even though he's not allowed to, is basically what it's going to come down to.
It's basically going to be a Cold War over who that. You know what? I think that's what starts the war in heaven. Who gets custody of Henry Kissinger?
Oh fuck!
I don't want him mutating.
I didn't mean to break the bit 5 episodes in. It's the whole thing. I'm going to go back to doing it next week.
Oh yeah, I was going to say.
We just needed, but you needed that. You needed that.
Unless he actually dies this week.
I typed in his name so I know for sure that I don't say he's still not dead when he actually maybe died during the show or some shit. I don't want that to happen. But I just see he's got a book.
I'd be really disappointed because then we don't get the full episode to talk about.
Broke my fucking brain that he's got a book coming out. Oh God, I can't.
Well, he hand wrote it. He doesn't know how to use the damn computer. The guy's so old.
Yeah.
When he dies, we're doing an entire episode about his shitty life and all the shitty, horrible things he did, all the Cambodians he killed, and just fuck that man. God damn it. All right, show's over. I'm so sick to death. I can't believe he's still alive. This fucking guy.